Royal Portrush 2025, the invisible penalty that ended Shane Lowry's run. Sometimes, a golf tournament can be turned upside down by something so small, even the player doesn't notice it. At the 2025 Open Championship at Royal Portrush, Shane Lowry was back on home turf, hoping to repeat his legendary win from 6 years earlier. He was right in the mix, playing solid golf and keeping the crowd buzzing. On the 10th hole, Lowry found his ball sitting deep in the rough. He took a practice swing, just like he's done thousands of times. But this time, the ball moved, barely, just a fraction of an inch. Lowry didn't see it, his caddy didn't see it, and even the fans on site missed it. But the TV cameras caught everything, and thousands of viewers at home noticed the tiny movement. 3 holes later, a rules official approached Lowry with bad news. The video evidence meant a 2-shot penalty. The R&A determined that Lowry's practice swing had caused his ball to move. Suddenly, he went from being in contention to fighting just to make the cut. His hopes of another Open victory vanished in an instant. If you think that's harsh, wait until you hear how a single phone call from Colorado destroyed a player's weekend. Doral Ryder Open 1991, the call that disqualified Paul Azinger. Paul Azinger had just finished a brilliant first round at the 1991 Doral Ryder Open, shooting a 65 and putting himself just 1 shot off the lead. But while Azinger was grinding through his second round, someone in Colorado was watching Thursday's USA Network telecast when something caught their eye. On the 18th hole, when Azinger was playing from a water hazard, he'd kicked a piece of coral out of the way while setting up for his shot. The viewer called the PGA Tour on Friday morning. What did they report? Moving any loose impediment in a hazard is a clear violation. Since Azinger had already signed his scorecard without taking the mandatory 2-stroke penalty, the result was automatic disqualification. As soon as Azinger finished his brilliant 65 in the second round, tournament officials escorted him to a CBS trailer. They reviewed the videotape, and there it was, clear as day. The coral moved when his foot touched it. His tournament was over. Not because of his play, but because someone 2,000 miles away caught a tiny mistake. And that wasn't the last time a TV viewer would change the course of a tournament. Abu Dhabi HSBC Golf Championship 2011. Harrington's 3-dimple disaster. Sometimes the difference between success and failure comes down to 3 tiny dimples on a golf ball. At the 2011 Abu Dhabi HSBC Golf Championship, Padraig Harrington was flying high after shooting a brilliant 65 in the opening round, putting him just 1 shot off the lead and in perfect position for the weekend. On the 7th green, Harrington had a 20-footer, marked his ball, replaced it, and went to remove his coin marker. What he didn't realize was that his finger brushed the ball as he picked up his marker. The contact was so slight that Harrington felt it, looked down, checked his ball's position using the Titleist logo he always used for alignment, and was satisfied it hadn't moved. But high-definition slow-motion replay disagreed. An anonymous viewer spotted the incident and phoned the European Tour. After reviewing the footage about 60 times, they determined the ball had moved forward by 3 dimples, then back about 1.5. Under Rule 2083A, there's no penalty if you put it back right. Harrington didn't. That's a 2-stroke penalty he never recorded, which meant disqualification for signing the wrong score. His dream start was erased by a movement smaller than a fingernail. But if you think finger brushes are bad, wait until you see what a simple tap can do. BMW Masters Shanghai 2013. Simon Dyson's costly tap. One casual tap can end a career-defining weekend and nearly destroy a reputation. Simon Dyson was flying high at the 2013 BMW Masters in Shanghai, tied for second place after 2 rounds and sitting pretty at 4 under par. He was looking at a potential career-defining weekend. On Friday's round at the 8th green, Dyson marked his ball, cleaned it, and as he replaced it, casually tapped down what looked like a spike mark in his line. Just a harmless little tap with his putter. Nothing dramatic, probably didn't even think about it. But TV viewers noticed, and that tap cost him everything. You're not allowed to touch your line of putt under Rule 16(1)A. No exceptions. That tap cost him a 2-stroke penalty, but since he'd already signed his card, it meant disqualification. The worst part? The tour investigated and found he'd done it before deliberately. They punished him with a $30,000 fine and a suspended 2-month ban for serious misconduct. One thoughtless moment destroyed not just his tournament, but nearly his entire reputation. Sometimes trying to stay loose during a delay can get you in even more trouble. Tournament of Champions Kapalua 2011, Camilo Villegas' birthday blunder. Sometimes your birthday present is a one-way ticket home. Camilo Villegas was grinding through the Tournament of Champions at Kapalua, trying to make something happen on the ridiculously steep 15th hole. His first chip attempt came rolling right back down to his feet. Second attempt, same thing. The golf ball was basically telling him, "Nope, not today, buddy." But while the ball was still moving, he casually swatted away some loose grass from in front of his divot. Just a little flick of the club. Nothing dramatic. Probably didn't even think about it. But somebody watching at home definitely thought about it. Actually, multiple somebodies. The next morning, Villegas' 29th birthday, by the way, the Colombian got hit with a two-shot penalty for Rule 23-1, but since he'd already signed his scorecard without adding those strokes, boom, disqualification. Happy birthday, Camilo. Your present is going home early. But sometimes family members become the toughest rules officials. The Players' Championship TPC Sawgrass 2021. Victor Hovland's mom saves the day. Sometimes your biggest supporter becomes your toughest critic from 4,000 miles away. Victor Hovland had just finished his opening round at the Players' Championship, shot a solid 2 under 70, feeling pretty good about himself. He was walking to his car in the parking lot when his phone rang. It was his mom, Galina, calling from Norway. Most 23-year-old guys getting a call from mom might expect to hear, "How was your day, honey?" Not Victor. Mom went straight for the jugular. "Are you going to get penalized for what happened on the 15th hole?" Turns out Mama Bear had been watching her son on TV from thousands of miles away, and she spotted that on the 15th green, Hovland had moved his ball marker one putter head length to get out of Justin Thomas's putting line. But when he went to replace it, he moved it another putter head in the same direction instead of back to its original spot. Hovland had zero recollection of doing this. Neither did his caddy. But Mom was eagle-eyed from 4,000 miles away. He immediately called tournament officials and self-reported. Video confirmed Mom was right. Two-stroke penalty under Rule 14-7, and he missed the cut by exactly 2 shots. But sometimes missing balls create controversies that last for years. Indonesian Open 2005, Colin Montgomery's bunker controversy. Sometimes a missing ball can spark a controversy that follows you for decades. Colin Montgomery desperately needed a top 3 finish at the 2005 Indonesian Open to crack the world's top fee and get into the Players' Championship. It wasn't going well. On the 14th hole, his approach shot found a greenside bunker in the worst possible spot. Montgomery spent several minutes trying to figure out his stance. The ball was right on the edge of a deep bunker and he was struggling. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Nothing felt comfortable. It was looking like an impossible shot. Then boom. Lightning flashed, the horn sounded, everyone evacuated. Montgomery marched off without marking his ball, leaving it exactly where it lay. Next morning, when play resumed, Montgomery returned to the 14th hole and whoops, no ball. It was gone missing. According to the rules, he consulted with his playing partners about where to replace it, and suddenly with his replacement ball, he had no problem at all. Takes an easy stance completely outside the bunker and chips it close for par. But TV footage showed the ball was replaced about a foot from its original position in a much more favorable spot. Montgomery later admitted he'd made an error and donated his £24,000 prize money to charity. But he kept the world ranking points. Some players, led by Sandy Lyle, openly called it cheating. Sometimes even the smallest movements can create the biggest headaches. BMW PGA Championship Wentworth 2012, Graham McDowell's double penalty. Sometimes golf's rules can punish you twice for the same unlucky moment. Graham McDowell was grinding through his opening round at the 2012 BMW PGA Championship at Wentworth, actually playing decent golf for once. He was on track to break par, feeling good about his position. Then disaster struck. His drive on 18 found trouble right into the trees. McDowell trudged over to assess the damage, and his ball was sitting precariously on a bed of branches and leaves. Not ideal, but he dealt with worse. As he approached and got ready to play his shot, the ball did what balls sometimes do in precarious positions. It moved just slightly, a tiny rotation barely perceptible to anyone standing there. Here's where golf's rules get absolutely ridiculous. Because the ball moved after McDowell addressed it, that's automatically deemed to be his fault. 1-stroke penalty. But wait, there's more. Since he didn't replace the ball in its exact original position before playing his next shot, that's another penalty stroke. 2 shots, just like that. Nobody on the ground thought it was a big deal. But eagle-eyed TV viewers spotted the incident and called it in. McDowell went from breaking par to shooting 74 with a triple bogey 8 on the final hole. And speaking of impossible rules, even Tiger Woods isn't immune. BMW Championship Conway Farms 2013. Tiger Woods and the oscillating ball. Sometimes even the greatest player in the world can't escape the television microscope. Tiger Woods was grinding through his second round at the 2013 BMW Championship at Conway Farms, trying to build some momentum. His approach shot on the first hole sailed over the green into the trees behind. Tiger trudged back there to assess the situation, and his ball was sitting on some branches and twigs. Standard procedure. Tiger started clearing loose impediments around his ball. Moved a large branch. No problem. Then he spotted a little twig right next to his ball and rolled it away with his club. That's when it happened. The ball moved just slightly, barely perceptible. Tiger swore the ball only oscillated, meaning it wiggled and settled back in the exact same spot. In his mind, no harm, no foul. But there was a problem. A PGA Tour entertainment crew was filming Tiger's round, and an editor back at headquarters reviewing the footage spotted the movement and called it in. Slugger White, the tour's rules chief, pulled Tiger aside before he signed his scorecard. They watched the video together multiple times. Tiger still insisted the ball just oscillated, but White saw it differently. The ball clearly moved position and didn't return to its original spot. 1-stroke penalty for causing it to move, another stroke for not replacing it. His double bogey 6 became a quadruple bogey 8, but sometimes a simple towel can cause even more trouble. Andy Williams Open Torrey Pines. 1987. Craig Stadler's towel trouble. Sometimes trying to protect your clothes can cost you a tournament finish. Craig Stadler was having a solid third round at the 19-8 Andy Williams Open at Torrey Pines when his drive on the 14th hole found trouble under a massive Leland cypress tree with low-hanging branches. The shot looked impossible standing up, so Stadler got creative. He decided to play the shot from his knees. Smart thinking. But here's the problem. The ground was muddy from overnight rain, and Stadler was wearing his nice turquoise pants. So he grabbed a towel, placed it on the wet grass, knelt down, and chipped the ball back into the fairway. Perfect execution. Crisis averted. Stadler continued his round, finished strong, and by Sunday he was tied for second place after birdieing the final hole. But then NBC's highlights package aired before the final round, showing Stadler's creative shot from Saturday. And somebody watching at home said, "Wait, isn't that building a stance?" Officials reviewed the tape and agreed. Rule 13-3 violation. 2-stroke penalty, but since he'd already signed his scorecard, that meant disqualification. A towel meant to protect his pants ended up costing him a top finish. And sometimes the controversy can change the rules of golf forever. US Open Oakmont 2016. Dustin Johnson's moving ball controversy. Sometimes a controversy is so ridiculous, it forces golf to change its rules forever. Dustin Johnson was chasing his first major championship at the 2016 US Open at Oakmont, just 2 shots behind leader Shane Lowry in the final round. On the notoriously slick 5th green at Oakmont, Johnson was standing over a short par putt when something felt off. He backed away. Then it happened. His ball moved just slightly, a millimeter at most. Johnson immediately called for referee Mark Newell and explained he didn't cause it to move. His playing partner, Lee Westwood, backed him up. On those lightning-fast Oakmont greens, balls can move from a gust of wind. The referee agreed. No penalty, play from the new position. Case closed, right? Wrong. 7 holes later on the 12th tee, USGA officials approached him. After examining video footage, they thought he might have caused the ball to move when he grounded his club near it. So DJ had to play the final 7 holes of the US Open, including the pressure-packed closing stretch, not knowing if he'd get a penalty stroke added to his score afterward. After Johnson finished and thankfully won by 3 shots, officials confirmed the penalty, 1 stroke added for causing his ball to move. This incident was so controversial that the USGA and R&A completely rewrote the rules. Starting in 2019, there's no penalty for accidentally moving your ball on the green. They literally created the Dustin Johnson rule because this whole thing was so absurd. But our final story might be the most heartbreaking of all. Anna Inspiration Mission Hills 2017. Lexi Thompson's heartbreak. Sometimes a viewer's email can turn certain victory into devastating defeat in a matter of minutes. Lexi Thompson was absolutely cruising at the 2017 ANA Inspiration at Mission Hills. She had a 3-shot lead in the final round of a major championship. At 22 years old, she was 6 holes away from her second major title and looking completely unstoppable. Then she saw Sue Witters, the LPGA's rules official, walking toward her as she headed to the 13th tee. And Lexi had no idea why. During Saturday's 3rd round, Thompson had marked a 1-foot putt on the 17th green and replaced her ball maybe an inch from its original position. Nobody noticed. Not her playing partners, not the officials on site. But someone watching at home noticed. They sent an email to the LPGA during Sunday's final round pointing out the violation from 24 hours earlier. Officials reviewed the footage and confirmed it. Rule 20 Section 7C, violation. 2 strokes for incorrect ball placement. 2 more strokes for signing an incorrect scorecard on Saturday. Thompson went from leading by 3 to trailing by 1 in the span of a conversation. Just like that, 24 hours after the fact. But instead of collapsing, she got mad. She birdied the very next hole, sinking a 25-footer to massive roars from the crowd. Then birdied 15 to regain the lead. She forced a playoff with So-Yeon Ryu, nearly eagled the 72nd hole for the outright win, but ultimately lost on the first playoff hole. From certain victory to playoff heartbreak, all because of an email sent 24 hours too late. That's why this takes our #1 spot, because sometimes the most shocking moments that destroy golf tournaments come not from the players, but from viewers sitting thousands of miles away, armed with nothing but high-definition television and a phone number.